Hey everybody, so I am finally getting a chance to make the video kind of telling the story about how we got Hudson and how everything went. I've been meaning to do this forever, so we've had him for 3 months now, and life gets crazy and I haven't done it. So we're outside today enjoying this beautiful weather, and he's right over there playing in his little bouncer. So hopefully I can get through this while he's happy. So Hudson, I know some of y'all watch the videos. Hudson is the baby that we were going to adopt in December. He was born December 16th, and we had been talking to the birth parents since about the beginning of September. We had been in contact with them, and they had kind of gone back and forth at the beginning, and then she said, she was going to do the adoption. So for about 2 months, I think, before he was born, she for sure was going to do the adoption. Everything was planned. We had gotten ready. We had picked everything out. We bought all the stuff we needed. And then at the hospital, she did change her mind. I haven't really talked to her about that time and what all happened, why she changed her mind. So I can't speak for her, and I don't want to go into too much personal details with, the birth parents anyways. But so she did change her mind at the hospital. And we had waited up because she got induced, and so she went in at like 6 p.m. on a Sunday night on the December 15th, and so Chase and I waited up all night, and we're anxiously waiting. They wanted us to wait to come to the hospital. They were going to call us or text us after he had been born, when they had had some time with him, and then our plan initially was that we were going to go to the hospital and get a room, stay at the hospital, and kind of both take care of him, so that she could have her time and say goodbye, but that we would pretty much be the ones taking care of him at the hospital. So, we're waiting. We ended up finding out he was born at 10:38 on December 16th, and at about 12, oh, my computer went off. At about 12:15, we got a call from the birth father's dad saying that, he had been born, and as of right then, she had changed her mind, and she wasn't going to do the adoption. So it was devastating and hard to take, but, we still held out hope. Like, okay, because I don't want to go into the situation of, their lives and why they were choosing to do the adoption. I think that's personal for them. But so with some of the stuff, I was like, okay, she's got to change her mind. This isn't going to work. It's just the emotions of when you have a baby. So, we were obviously upset and devastated, but, we're still positive, like, okay, this isn't over yet. She can still change her mind. So then, on the 18th, she went home from the hospital, and I'm like, okay, that was another thing. We're like, before she leaves the hospital, she's going to realize. And by this point, we had told our attorneys that he had been born, but that she had changed her mind, because our attorneys were kind of on watch out to waiting for us to call so they could come to the hospital and get everything signed. So we told them, she looks like she changed her mind. It's not going to happen. So then when she went home, I was like, okay, maybe it's really not going to happen. And of course, we're still following on Facebook and Instagram and looking at the pictures, and never really fully gave up hope. I always thought there's a chance she can change her mind. She's going to give us the baby. She's going to realize, like, this wasn't the right choice. She did need to go through the adoption. And so we just kept waiting and waiting. And then finally, at about a month, right at the 1 month mark, I was like, okay, I can't keep holding out hope. I can't keep thinking she might change her mind. We might get this baby. It's like, for me, with all of the loss that we'd already been through, I was like, I just need to move on. I need to close this chapter and start moving towards the next one and getting, working towards getting another baby. So as hard as it was, we decided to kind of move on and close that. So we had talked about going through an agency this time, because that was a private adoption that we were doing, because, we'd gotten the word out and I wasn't hearing anything else about another baby, so I was just kind of like bummed out and just wanted to feel like I was doing something. I wanted to feel proactive. So we decided that we were going to go with Lifeline Children's Services, which their main office, I believe, is in Birmingham, but then they're all over the Southeast. So, and I really like the way that they have theirs set up, because there's the $250 application fee, and then you pay for your homesteading. And you don't pay any of the other amount until you're matched, and then when the baby is born. So you could go through and get your home study done, and then if a private adoption came up, you've got your home study done and you haven't given them lots of money that you're not going to get back. So that's why we were going to go with them. And we had set up to have the first meeting, and then there was that really bad ice storm. It was in like the second or third week of January. So we had to postpone because the storm was so bad. All the roads were blocked. For those who don't live like down in the south, I'm not sure how everything else was, but everything shut down. Like the whole city shut down, gridlock. People were in traffic for hours and days. Like, it was a mess. So that was when we were supposed to have the first meeting with the social worker. So we rescheduled it for the next week. And Chase, my husband, his job, he got called into work and couldn't go, so we had to postpone it again. So, we were trying to work with her, trying to figure out a time that we could go and meet with her. And before we ever could get something set up, on February 2nd, it was a Sunday, we went to church that morning, and then as soon as we got home from church, and we'd gone to Arby's, so we walked in with our lunch, we were getting ready to eat, and Chase got a call from the birth father's dad saying that, he needed to come over, and that the birth father was there, the baby was there, and, he needed to come to their house. And so, what in the world is going on? I feel like, it must be good if they're wanting us to come. They're not going to just do that for no reason. And so they wanted it to be just Chase. So Chase went, and I actually had to work that day. I had to show some houses, so I went, anxious, like waiting for his call to find out what's going on. So he calls me when he left. Well, he texted me a picture of him holding what is now Hudson. And I was super jealous because he got to meet him first and hold him, and I'm still just in the dark, don't know what's happening. And so they told us that, the birth mom had decided that she did want to go through with the adoption after all, and she wanted to wait, though. This is February 2nd. He turned 7 weeks on February 8th, the day after we got him, and she wanted to wait till his next doctor's appointment, his 2-month doctor's appointment, before she went through with the adoption. So yet again, I was like, I'm not going to get my hopes up. Like, if you're going to do it, we're going to do it. Like, I don't want to wait 3 weeks, So I was excited, but yet again, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm not going to think for sure this is going to happen. So then we went on, that afternoon. That was the Super Bowl. So we went over to some friend's house to watch the Super Bowl. And at about, I guess it was like around 7 that evening, Chase got a text from the grandfather, and he said, he talked to the birth mom, and after that meeting that day and just the emotions of everything, she was really upset and just wanted to go ahead and, do it sooner than that. She didn't want to wait the whole time. I think, once she finally said it and told us, it just became real. And then she just, so many emotions. I can't imagine what she was going through. So she said, she wanted to do it sooner, so we were trying to find out. He wanted us to know when we could get it done. And obviously that was a Sunday night with Super Bowl. We weren't going to be able, our attorney couldn't meet then, which is what he was asking, when our attorney could sign everything. So I called our attorney. Luckily, he answered his phone that night at about like 8 o'clock. And so he said, he could get the paperwork together because he'd already, pretty much done everything. So they could sign it the next day, and we could go ahead and get him that night, that it was fine for us to take him home. It would be even better because it would give her a night without him to really make sure that this is the decision she wanted to make before she signed over the papers. A little bit less likely for her to change her mind in the 10-day period, because here in Georgia there is a 10-day revocation period after you've signed over your rights, and it was a somewhat local birth mom. So we went that night at about 8:30 and picked him up, and both of the birth parents were there. We got to see them and talk to them for a little bit, and that was the first time I'd ever seen him. I ever got to hold him. I'd seen pictures of him obviously on the internet, but that was the first time I'd talked to her since he was born. So it was emotional for her, obviously, and then we took him home that night, and that Monday, the day he was 7 weeks, she went and, she didn't go, the attorney went to her, and both of the birth parents signed over their rights and So then the 10 days started, and we made it through the 10 days. We do have an open adoption where there are visits and pictures and, open communication between us. I really grew close to the birth mom, and, I love her as a person and as Hudson's birth mom, and I want to make sure that we do have a good relationship and then we keep a good relationship. He's over there talking. He wants to be in the video. So, I did want to make sure that everything went smoothly there. So, she did have some stuff that she wanted to give him because she'd kind of just left. So they went back when they moved her out of the place where she was living. They got some of the stuff she wanted to give him. So Chase went and got that stuff. I stayed with him because we didn't want to have any visits in that first 10 days. Wanted to just get through that milestone and be done with that part. So he did do that. And then I guess about 2 weeks, no, I guess it was 3 weeks after we got him, she had asked if we could get together for a visit. And so I went, because she at the time did not have a license or a car. So Hudson and I went and we picked her up, and we went and had lunch, and it was awesome. It was better than I could have expected. She was great with it. She didn't act like she was the mom. She, didn't try to do anything without me saying, do you want to do this? Do you want to hold him? Do you want to feed him? Just awesome. Love her. And we've had a couple visits since then. They did an Easter basket for him. So we went and got together with them the weekend before Easter, and they gave him the little basket that they had done. And, she's been great. She's given me all the pictures that she had taken. She gave me the baby book to make copies, or, copy any of the information that I wanted. His footprint she let me make copies of. So, everything's been going really great with that. And so now we are just over the 3-month mark that we've had him. He is 4.5 months old. He'll be 5 months old on May 16th. So, we're more in love than we could ever imagine, and things have just been awesome. He's a great baby. He is so happy. He's always smiling and laughing, and he's just a joy to us and our whole families. And he is so spoiled. He has so many people that love him and cherish him, and just, so glad that he is a part of our family. So that is pretty much how we ended up with Hudson. So if y'all have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. No personal information, as far as with the birth mom. I don't know that she'd ever see this video, but if she did, I wouldn't want to give any of her information out, regardless, let alone to strangers on the internet, because I do love her, and she definitely is in my heart and will always have a place in my heart. So that's how it came about that we got Hudson. Talk to you guys later. Bye.